You're listening to In Cap We Trust for the Always Next Year Podcast Studio Network. You can find the team on our Twitter at ANYP Podcast or on our website, www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. And now, to bring us in, the Jackdaws.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back, hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such eager my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
Welcome to another episode of In Cap We Trust here at the Always Next Year Podcast Studios. This is a question and answer version of the segment. Again, mailbag segments. These are what we do just to fill some time here and to get some extra content out, and we wait for some of these questions to kind of build up and spill up, and we got a good amount this week, so we're gonna jump into some of these. I am Shane, doing this one solo again this week. We will do these more with the full complement of the team, but I have a little bit of time in my hands, so I'm going to take care of some of these today for you. We're going to jump right into it here. So first of all, I do have to credit this group. So it's weird. While we are one, big umbrella kind of company here, we have shows in each sport. Each show kind of has its own fan base and following. So I just wrapped up a 76ers segment, and we get things from Kelly and from Ryan and from Mark and from, it was just names and that's fine. It's cool. I would love to meet all of you. But this particular group, everyone used aliases and different things that made me laugh. So for the Phillies listeners here, for the In Cap We Trust listeners, you guys are great, and we appreciate it. So thanks for continuing to listen to this segment, and to give us some valuable feedback and notes. And then for this particular one, questions. So Ballpark Rat 12, what do you think of Zach Eflin this year? Is he the real deal? Zach Eflin never excites me. He is, to me, he's always just kind of been, he's a guy. He's like the Braden Shen of pitchers for me. To me, I just talked to our buddy Johnny Heller from 3 Up 3 Down, in a Twitter back and forth last night, about more so about Andrew Knapp, but about Zach Eflin and his to seem preference to be pitching to Andrew Knapp. But I had mentioned in that back and forth that, Eflin to me is a guy who is very, very streaky. He may be, lights out for 5-6 starts in a row, and then he's kind of just average, then he falls off, then he's lights out again, and you never really know what type of swing he's going to be in. When he's good, he's great. We've seen it now with a couple complete games and 2 in his last 3 starts. There's a lot to be excited about with guys like him, when he's on. When he's not, he's like what we saw in Miami early on in the year, where you're completely confused at the product that you're watching. But overall, look, this year has been no doubt a very special year for Eflin to start, and he's certainly in one of those really, really, really strong swings right now. So good for Eflin, and good for the Philadelphia Phillies as long as he can continue to do this. Andrew Knapp's going to stay a goddamn Philly, and Eflin's going to stay in the rotation, and I'm cool with that. So, one part of that. Here for Ike had sent in, where has Michael gone? First of all, here for Ike, me too, man. Can't get enough of Jared Eichhoff. But where has Michael Franco gone? So, I have pretty much always been a Michael Franco hater, and then I've consistently said that he certainly has the tools to be very, very, very good. And to me, he was just baseball stupid and just stubborn. And he falls into those traps and sequences where he is suddenly, I don't know if they took the earwig out of his ear that tells him to sit there and stay fundamentally correct in what he does and stay patient in his approach. But he's gone cold. Not a great couple weeks. a great couple weeks here. Obviously, the torrid start that he had, he was going to come back down to earth, and that's it's just going to happen. But I'm going to surprise you here for Ike. I think that he comes around, he levels back out, and he has a really, really good season. I think that there's a lot to be excited about in the farm right now. By the way, Alec Boehm was promoted to Clearwater, and he's carried over his early season success from Lakewood to Clearwater. So I do think there's a possibility that next year at some point Alec Boehm could be up again. He was a college guy, so he wasn't super young. But for right now, Franco's playing nice defense. When he's hitting right, he's using the whole field, which he's not done in his entire career. And then obviously if you're going to make a mistake up and in with a fastball, and he's going to turn on it. So as quickly as he's gone cold, he can go hot as well. So I'm actually surprisingly not out on Maikel Franco right now. I wasted $330 million for this. Sends in, Bryce Harper is trash. What a waste of a baseball contract. Should have waited out for Trout. So you're a moron. Trout wasn't going to come here. You can't wait out for something that may never happen. Bryce Harper's not trash. If you look at one specific number or two specific numbers, it's very easy to be discouraged. If you look at his batting average, yes, it's easy to be discouraged. If you look at his insane strikeout numbers right now, yes, easy to be discouraged. But then you could take a look at, I don't know, literally anything else. He's still walking. Yes, it's slightly down from last year. I think he has 5 or 6 fewer walks at this point this year than he had last year. But take a look at what Rhys Hoskins is doing. Rhys Hoskins is having an already career year early on here. Very MVP-like year out of the 4 spot. Do you think that he does that? Do you think he has those numbers without a guy like Bryce Harper hitting in front of you? I don't care if Bryce Harper's hitting $150 this year. You are still garnering that much respect and thought from opposing pitchers and defenses and coaches. That is what Bryce Harper brings you. I've seen a lot on Twitter. A lot of people sit there and say what he is right now is basically what Carlos Santana was for us last year, at least at this time. And they're not wrong. Carlos Santana was an on-base machine. He had some pop. He was an okay defensive player. But he provided a purpose. The one thing that he could not provide was he didn't have a name like Bryce freaking Harper. So no one was going to fear the people that were going to bat behind him or in front of him or anything. No one had to pitch differently because of Carlos Santana. Bryce Harper does. Bryce Harper is not having a perfect year. Certainly his individual stats, have a ton of room to grow and to get better. But to say that he's trash and that he's a wasted contract is moronic. And I wasted $330 million for this name tag. First of all, you didn't waste a cent on him. And second of all, I think you're a moron. So thanks for listening to the show, but, come with better content next time, sir or ma'am. From Ryan, trade Nola with a question mark. Fucking no, don't. Why? That's as dumb as the previous question. Look, Aaron Nola didn't start great, obviously. It's becoming increasingly clear that he's having a tough time with the new baseballs this year, pitching in colder weather and getting that sharp feel, that he needs and the sharp movement on his pitches that he needs. But to say to trade Aaron Nola, get the hell out of here, man. Come on. Number 5, I love the name. Cesar Hears Footsteps. Tell your one host that Cesar sucks and that Scotty Kingery is coming to take his spot. I'm also celebrating my girlfriend not being pregnant for my Sully in Philly. Dude, I love every single part of this. So, first of all, Cesar Hears Footsteps. That's brilliant. Obviously, Cesar had a pretty tough couple weeks there defensively and in the box. But since then, he's been, adequate in the field and he's really turned it on in the box. And again, he's a professional hitter. He's going to do that. But I love both of the next parts. Tell our one host that Cesar sucks and Scotty's coming. That is undoubtedly in reference to LJ, who is a Scotty Kingery hater. I have an immense amount of respect for people who call LJ out on his bullshit. That makes me feel good. So Cesar, here's footsteps, sir, ma'am. Good, or no, sir. Never mind. You're definitely a sir. Good for you. We appreciate that. We are very pro Scotty King here for the most part at ANYP Podcast. And then also congratulations on, I think anyway, you sound like you're celebrating. I don't know if she is, but congrats on your girlfriend not being pregnant for your Sully and Philly. I respect that. Thanks for bringing some attention to our segments here for Always Next Year Podcast and the In Cap We Trust segment. For those of you who are not regular listeners to this segment, we do a Sully and Philly where the team and whoever is on or is on that segment gives something that they're celebrating that week. And for this particular one, Cesar Here's Footsteps is celebrating that his girlfriend is not in fact pregnant. So good for you, sir. Another question that comes in, no batting gloves, Bryce. Would you give Harper a day or two off? I would. I know that he wants to play 162. I know that Kapler is kind of envisioning him playing 162. I do think that at a certain point you have to be sensitive to the things that you're seeing, and a mental health day is something that, high school kids take because they get overwhelmed with 7 classes, and this is a guy who's playing in front of 45,000 people a night in a stadium, for one of the richest contracts in baseball history, in a notoriously difficult sports town. A mental health day may serve this guy some good. He's also a guy whose body has been, he plays so hard. His swing is so violent. He does play reckless in the outfield. Both his body and his mind it would behoove him to get him some time here and there. It doesn't appear that that's really in the cards for this Phillies team and for Bryce Harper, but we'll see. From I Love Pickles and Bryce, would you, and this is specifically geared for me, so thanks, asshole, would you eat a pickle if it means it gave us a World Series win? Bitch. You are something. Yes, I would risk my pickle aversion if it brought us a World Series victory. I think that I think most people would do something that they hate or eat something that they loathe. If it brought us a World Series victory. If we could play one part of it, I would say that my only stipulation would be I would want my name also on that trophy. That's all. I would also like a World Series ring, because if I'm going to eat a freaking pickle, I would like to think that had a major impact on the success of the Philadelphia Phillies, and obviously it was the thing to put them over the top to get them a World Series ring. So I would say that should probably be part of that ceremony, if not like the pinnacle of that ceremony. So yeah, if I'm going to eat a pickle, all right, I'll eat it, but that's my stipulation there. That's what I need. From Sue, are you ever going to do a Prospect Watch article series again? I liked seeing who you thought the next wave of talent would be. Sue, first of all, thank you. Sue, I know that we've talked via email a handful of times. For those of you guys who don't know, we used to do a lot of writing. We've kind of transitioned to primarily a podcast group and less of the writing. We did build a website, which obviously most of you guys still follow us there. I know a lot of you guys listen to our content there. It is www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. We have not been writing as often as we should. And last year, and I believe the year before, at least last year, I began doing a Prospect Watch article series where each week I would, talk about, one or two hitters or pitchers that were, hot and one or two that were cold at each minor league level for the Philadelphia Phillies. We also used to do like 60-second videos on different prospects where we would just kind of hit on their either uptrend or downtrend as the way that their season was going. Both things we kind of moved away from. Sue, what I would tell you is I am, and our team as a whole is looking to get back into actively writing a little bit more here. But for us, we do occasionally have Alex Carr from The Good Fight. We have a prospect segment with him every couple weeks, where we touch base and we talk the Philadelphia Phillies farm. If you ever want a more, if I should not be promoting other pages, but Alex Carr is a great guy. So I would definitely check out The Good Fight and or check him out on Twitter. He's at Alex Carr MLB. But he puts out some really, really great stuff on some of the farm system. I think he just put something out on Alec Boehm. But I will also, like I said, look to start doing a little bit more prospect talk here as well. Alan, someone tell Stephanie to come on the show more because she shuts the guys up. Reese for president. Alan, do you have a crush on Stephanie? I don't blame you. She's fantastic. But look, people do dig Steph on the shows that she's on. So we do try to get her on, a little bit more. She's definitely more of a hockey and baseball chick. So we'll get her on for some of these shows as we can. You'll also probably hear her on more Whiskey Rambles with Steve's show as well. If you're a fan of Stephanie, just keep following several segments of the show and she'll be on. And she'll also appreciate your Reese for president right now since she picks him for the player of the week every goddamn week. Another question is from Eileen and Mark. Did you guys merchandise yet? And how do we win t-shirts and things of that sort? Who do we need to kill? You don't need to kill anyone. We are in the process of merchandising right now. We have placed orders for, I think we have t-shirts, we have coffee mugs, and I don't know if we did beer koozies or keychains or what. I don't know. We have 4 or 5 products that are coming in that we will begin both selling and doing different giveaways for. So one thing that you can do, Eileen, Mark, and anyone else listening to this segment, is continue to follow our Twitter page at ANY Podcast, or you can follow any of our personals. You can follow mine or Rob's. We are probably the two that are most active in this. Mine is at Shane_Mead. Rob is at Radio_Rob. You can also follow Connor for this as well. Connor's been really, really active on social media. He is one of our newest members. Canadian guy. He's freaking great. Love having him on the show. He's actually started to join more segments than just our Crossing Border segment. So he's been great. He's a really good follow. But he is at Connor10. That's Connor TEN, not the number 10. But yeah, follow any one of us and the podcast page and just keep up with our different rules for giveaways and things of that sort. But yeah, hey, thanks for being interested in some of that. We are really excited about getting some of this merchandising stuff out there. From Knapp Apologist. Andrew Knapp is the best option on this team as a backup catcher. Just shut your mouth. I don't actually know who he's talking about right now. He very well may be talking to me. I would assume he's talking to me. He could also be talking to Rob. He could be talking to L, who had a couple really good responses to who he would replace Andrew Knapp with when I had L on the show a couple weeks back. Andrew Knapp is, again, we talked to Johnny, or I was talking to Johnny about this last night, Johnny Heller, again, from 3 Up, 3 Down. There is value to Knapp. As much as I hate Andrew Knapp, what he does for a guy like Zach Eflin is it's important. It's not as if we have a catcher, a starting catcher who can't play 150 plus games a year. We do. We have that luxury. So, I would say that once the full complement of this bench is back, Andrew Knapp and his inabilities to be a successful almost anything in the batter's box, it's not really going to matter that much. We'll have other hitters that we can use early on in baseball games and pinch hit roles and opportunities that we won't feel so pressed to use and utilize him as a pinch hitter in any important circumstance ever. So look, you and your Andrew Knapp apologist self, there is value to him. It is small, but it is there. I am a little leery to believe it, considering the person who is most benefiting right now is Zach Eflin, who is one of the streakiest pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. So I'd be curious to sit there and see how the next handful of starts go for Eflin and Knapp. So we'll see. And the final question that we're going to touch on today is, what is our evaluation of Gabe so far, and any chance at Keuchel or Kimbrel? So couldn't get away from the Keuchel and Kimbrel shit. And then the Gabe Kapler stuff, we actually did not get quite as many Gabe Kapler questions in this time around, which is, I think, in my opinion, a good thing. My evaluation of Gabe so far is, I feel like Gabe is like that first or second grader who comes in the next year and has skipped a grade. That there's that learning curve that first year managers and young managers go through where they, they have their ideas of how the game was played when they played. And obviously Gabe Kapler is not too far removed. I think his final season was 2010 or 11. Young guy, still very on the pulse of what baseball is right now. I think that helps a guy like him in order to stay relevant and to stay, able to connect to his players right now. Last year, obviously, there were things that went really bad really early on. But he grew last year. You cannot say that I would say after the first 6-8 weeks of the season that he wasn't a completely different manager. I think that, we're very reactionary here in Philadelphia. It's very easy to hate someone who pulls your ace on opening day in the way that he did and has a couple bullpen malfunctions last year in the ways that he did. The way that he was moving his lineup around and overutilizing, analytical information for switches and lineup choices. And there was a lot to be frustrated about because it was new. And I think that there were points of growth throughout last year that you saw with him, that he continued throughout the offseason and that he continued to have now with this team. This team this year, I think the biggest thing that I take away from all of this is the fact that Gabe Kapler he now has like his team. Like, this is what this team is going to be. You go ahead and you acquire Gene Segura, and what that's done for his offense has been unbelievable. I mean, we talked about the stat last week. The numbers have obviously changed a little, but with Gene Segura in the lineup, they're near 7 runs a game. Without him, they're around 3. So having him in the lineup every single day, knowing where he's at, huge. Having a professional hitter in the leadoff spot like Andrew McCutchen, huge. Last year's core lineup pieces are now your 6, 7, and 8 hitters. It's his job this year is so different than what it was last year. Last year was this feeling out process of pieces and who was going to be here, who isn't, how can I maximize these players. Now everything's more set. He can simplify what he needs to do, and he has. The first, 8-10 games of the year, whatever it was, I think he used basically one lineup. So there's a lot that's gone on that Gabe's done very well. I still think that the final thing that he needs to really master and perfect is his bullpen. And I think that that's something that almost every manager in baseball is going to forever have a difficult time with. But bullpen pitchers are so streaky and so difficult to gauge. And they go hot and cold quicker than anyone or anything in baseball. One week you sit there and you think you have this shutdown guy, and then they come out and they look lost, and the next thing you know, they're on the injured list. And and that's kind of been what the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen's been. So I think that there are a lot of things that you can feel really, really good about with Gabe Kapler. And this year, having a team that you can feel comfortable and confident is a team that is ready to compete for championship level baseball right now. I think that he's done a really nice job. And then the second part of that question was, where am I at with Keuchel and Kimbrel? Keuchel is now talking to the Rays in light of the Glasnow injury, which, again, if you saw that the couple months that he may miss with the elbow injury, that's forearm elbow injury. That sucks to see. Look, he was having a really, really special year, really, really early on. Wishing for the best for him there. I've said it all along. I know Elle on our show, who's on occasionally, and some of the other guys on the show as well are still very pro going out and getting a Dallas Keuchel or a Craig Kimbrel. That's just not me. I think that it's going to take either one of them a month or two to really get themselves right, and you're going to be putting money towards pitchers and who are not really ready to budge on their value too much so far and what they believe they're worth. And you put yourself in a tax penalty that you shouldn't really need to put yourself in year one of this thing. I'm still of the mindset that Madison Bumgarner's he's the guy. That's the option. For me, for if you're looking for a postseason arm, you're going to be hard pressed to find something anyone or anyone that's going to do or have a better resume than what he has in the postseason. And again, the bullpen stuff, we're looking at a bullpen right now that's still without Tommy Hunter, that's still without David Robertson. Sir Anthony Dominguez has not been right all year. I think that there are pieces here that can really elevate this baseball team, and I think that they will. So I don't know that I don't really know that you need to go out and get either one of those guys. I would just continue to play winning baseball as we are right now, continue to capitalize on a division that is not playing up to the standards or expectations that we believe this entire division would play up to. And as players and pitchers make themselves available and as we inch towards the deadline, that's where you start evaluating the things that, you're in real time watching, knowing what they can bring you right now. The unknown of a Kimbrel and a Keuchel terrify me. So, I would much rather go for a pitcher that's got 17 to 20 starts come the deadline and be like, no, you know what? I see what we're getting right now, and I'm comfortable with that, versus a guy who hasn't thrown a meaningful pitch all season. That is going to be it here for the question and answer mailbag segment for In Cap We Trust for the Always Next Year podcast. We will be back with another Phillies segment in a few days, just another weekly recap segment the way that we always do. We will also try to incorporate more of the question and answer mailbag style segments for all of our segments. So please feel free to continue to message us on the website, through the email that's there, on Twitter, through the DMs. And those of you guys who text us, that's fine too. Again, we appreciate getting to know a lot of you guys. So thanks again for continuing to listen to all of our segments here at the Always Next Year podcast. We're going to let the Jackdaws bring us out here. Again, the Jackdaws, if you are unfamiliar, this is our new intro-outro music for the Always Next Year podcast. They are an Irish rock folk band. You can find them anytime that you see a Renaissance fair in your local town. They are probably one of the highlighting bands there. But they are the Jackdaws. You can find them on their website, www.thejackdaws.com, or you can find them on Instagram or Facebook. It is the Jackdaws, JACKDAWS. There we go. So we're going to let them bring us out here, and we'll be back with another few episodes this week.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son, still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
This has been a production of the Always Next Year Podcast Network. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. Please also remember to rate and review this podcast to validate our members' life choices. We appreciate it. This is ANYP, signing off.